If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that I'm a big fan of these Anton Bauer Titon Base battery banks. They're really thin, low profile, high power output, and they sit right underneath your camera. Of course, you can mount them in any configuration if you like, but the primary purpose is to put a plate on the camera and slide that in so you have an additional battery right underneath your camera. This would be great for things like hybrid, mirrorless production. And for as much as I like these batteries, because they really do extend my shooting time throughout the day, one downside is the way that these DTaP ports are configured. I like that there's USB. It's not USB PD. So that's kind of the newer standard for higher output from USB. If you don't know about USB PD, look that up, check it out. I think you'll really like it. It also has these DTaP ports, but DTaP does have an orientation. As far as I know, there's no way to change the direction of a DTaP port or a DTaP plug. Let me show you what I mean. If I grab this DTaP connector and I plug it in to this port here, you'll see that the cable runs this direction, which if the camera is on top of the plate, that means the cable is going up and away from the base. That's actually how I like it and how I prefer it. However, these DTaP ports here on the other side of the battery bank are oriented the other direction. So that cord now goes down. And if it's underneath the camera, that's going down into the ground, especially if you're trying to set it down on anything. Both of these ports here have this same orientation. And I've looked for different connectors and adapters to maybe run straight out. If you can find something, let me know, but I have been unable to find DTaP plugs that are any different direction than this. It doesn't matter if you spin the battery a different direction or even flip it upside down, because now that's on top of the camera. And again, kind of going the wrong way, away from the camera, because the plate is on this side. There's only one side for the plate. So I found a few solutions that help me use this style of battery in a more optimal configuration, because ideally all the ports would be facing this way, so everything kind of goes up towards the camera. I'll show you what I mean. Here I have a Lumix G9 Mark II with an Anton Bauer Titon Base, and I've got one cable running up. We're gonna get to that in a second. One of the first immediate easy solutions is to get one of these bottom base plates. This is made by a company called Nicey Rig. You can find them on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. And it's just a nice extra little riser with a 1/4-20 here on the bottom and some additional mounting points here on the back. And it's just an easy way to set your camera down and have it be nice and stable. The benefit of using a riser plate like this with the Anton Bauer Titon Base is that if I plug a DTaP into these ports that have that less than ideal configuration or orientation, that cord's going down, but you'll see the clearance is almost perfect. It's not quite as good as I'd like. You maybe find a riser that's a little bit taller, but if you do it this way, you're not left resting as much of the weight on a single cord. You have the 4 points of the plate to kind of help support all that weight and keep it all distributed without resting so much on this one cable. That's sort of a cheater way to get to the solution, still not ideal. So instead, what I found was a DTaP splitter. So from this port that's headed this direction, it runs up to the top of the LCD here, and this is a splitter made by Condor Blue. It's actually 4 DTaP ports. One is 12 volt, the others are 15 volt. And what I really like about this is I can run my power up top here, get it kind of out of the way, and then I can plug all my DTaP cords in the right direction. Now they're all headed the same way. I can do some cable management and get that to be a much lower profile than just having a bunch of cords hanging off the camera rig. There's a few different companies that make these DTaP splitters, but I like this one from Condor Blue because it's actually really well made. It's got a much sturdier material, and it has a variety of mounting points. So on this side, and obviously on the side where it's mounted. Let me show you how I did that. Condor Blue also makes these nice quick release plates that allow you to mount much more easily than trying to screw something in or thread it onto a hot shoe. I'll put a link to these plates in the description as well. But basically, you can put one of these quick release plates on the bottom here, put another one on the top of your monitor or cage, whatever you have. You can put it wherever you want. I just happen to like it up here. And that slots right in, and then you can lock it, and now it's not going anywhere. This works really well for me so far. I'm not a huge fan of the extra height that it adds to the camera, so maybe I'll end up adjusting this, but I wanted to at least show you, this is a great way to fix that problem with these Anton Bauer Titon bases. Like I always say, they're great batteries, but this minor inconvenience of having your cords running different directions is really, really irritating. So having one cable to put your power wherever you want or need it is very beneficial and could probably work with many other solutions. I'm sure there's other battery banks and styles that may have their own set of unique quirks. Thankfully, these types of cables make managing all that a lot easier. And one nifty thing that they add is Condor Blue sends every cable with these cable ties, and these are really clever. They're just magnetic rubber bands essentially, so you can tie your cables up in a lot easier fashion with something that's really small, low profile, and I just think it's very sleek and clever. Just a simple rubber band with some magnets solves so many problems. So that's how I've currently got my rig built. I really like this option of the base plate in addition to the Condor Blue DTaP splitter cable. Setting the camera down on the Nicey rig definitely feels a little bit better than setting the camera down right on the battery. You can do that as well. It's not gonna cause any problems, and I've been doing it that way for a long time. But once I saw these bottom plates, I thought, hey, that might have some good uses as well. And this became an important part of my setup when I started using these USB PD cables. Again, if you don't know about USB PD, I've made a video talking about it and why it's so beneficial and why you probably need it or will need it in the near future. But it just requires me to update and reconfigure some of the pieces that I had on the rig, add some new pieces, get rid of some old pieces, in the ever-changing process of evolution and updating things to be their optimal configuration. So that USB PD cable plugs right here into the side, into the USB-C port, and now I can use this cable tie to secure things so we don't have too much hanging and dangling off the camera. Hopefully you can see how well that works. It's a small, tiny little thing, but makes quite a big difference. And now I've got everything powered right from this one cable coming off the Anton Bauer Titon Base. I really prefer this type of setup so I don't have multiple batteries to charge. I can charge this single battery, power my camera, power my monitor, power and charge any other devices that I might need. And it's one thing to charge. Much easier, simpler, peace of mind. I like those kinds of solutions rather than having Lumix batteries and Sony batteries and needing to charge USB-C devices. Power management is probably one of the bigger parts of the job that's hidden in the background. And so far, this is what's working best for me.